If you have a Rodecaster Pro 2 or a Rodecaster Duo like Duo right here, Rode just released an update that lets you connect any of these things together from anywhere in the world as long as they have an internet connection. So that means if you have a Rodecaster and you're recording remotely with someone else who has another Rodecaster, you can just directly connect your casters and then start podcasting faster. This update adds a feature called CallMe to your Rodecaster, so I want to show you how to install it, how to set it up, and then since I do have two Rodecasters, I wanted to show you how they work together and how you can use it. So I haven't yet installed the update on my Rodecaster Pro 2, so if I go into settings, I can see there's a firmware update available because this is connected to our internet via Wi-Fi. Tap on that, and then you can see the release notes if you want. I know what they are, so I'm just gonna install it. Once the update is finished, you'll see this screen right here, which lets you know that CallMe has been installed. You can dismiss this or you can register for free. So this is a functionality that has been added from a third-party company. It's not Rode's proprietary technology, so that means you do need to sign up for an account with CallMe in order to use it. And if I tap on the register button, I will get this QR code, which then I can scan to create an account. So once you log into your Rode account, you can kind of scroll down a little bit, and this is where you can create or activate your CallMe account. You will notice there is pricing because you might be wondering, wow, how did Rode work out a deal where they could have a company offer their service for free? And the answer is, it's not all for free. So by default, you get a CallMe Lite plan, which is totally free with the Rodecaster. And this means that you get 10 hours of service, of Rodecaster to Rodecaster service per month. And you get 5 hours of web service because if somebody doesn't have a Rodecaster, you can actually just give them a web link and they can use a browser to log in. So you get 5 hours of that or 10 hours of Rodecaster to Rodecaster, which is honestly pretty decent. If you do, a 1 to 2 hour weekly podcast, 10 hours a month is more than you need. If you do need more than that, then there are options to sign up. I'm not gonna do any of that. I definitely don't need that much. I'm just sticking with the CallMe Lite subscription, which is totally free. And so now that I've got that activated, all I need to do is basically assign CallMe to one of my faders here. If I want mic 2 to be that, I can go to channel 2, click on the gear icon, and now down here, see how it says CallMe? I can do that. Click the check mark and I'm good to go. And now that I have CallMe assigned to channel 2 on the Rodecaster Pro 2, I can press this button here and now I have all of the CallMe options. So I can tap this if I want to call a Rodecaster. I would just enter that Rodecaster's code. The code will be right here. So you see the code which is current. That's not the one, that's not my actual code any longer because you can go into configuration and then I can upgrade if I need to get more hours. I can go into hosting. I can turn hosting on or off right here. And then I can also go into advanced, which I would recommend turning the call quality to excellent. There's no reason not to do that. Now, as you might see here, one of the benefits to upgrading to one of the other plans is you could get different channels. So you could have multiple guests through CallMe. So you could, have different Rodecasters. In this case, one is more than enough. Now, just so you know, right here, I have my code, right, which is out in this video that everybody is seeing. So if you have a code and you don't want everybody to see your code or you want to change it, you can go into configuration, go into hosting, turn off hosting, and now when you turn it on, there will be a different code. And then from the CallMe screen, you also have the ability to process audio. So just like with any input, you can turn on processing, basic processing, you can go into advanced processing. You have all the exact same options that you do when you attach a microphone or whatever to your Rodecaster. Now, the one caveat I would add here is be sure that you're not double processing audio. So if you're working with someone who's using a Rodecaster to connect to your Rodecaster, they might already have processing going on their end, and if you add processing here, it's gonna add like double processing. It might not sound too great. If you're using the browser version, where someone is using a browser link to join, they might not be adding any processing. They could just be using a basic USB mic or some other kind of simple setup where there's no processing on their end, and then you might wanna add it in so that way the audio sounds consistent and sounds as good as possible. So I'm not saying don't use the processing. I think it's amazing that it's here. Just don't double process your audio. And then here you can also see your remaining hours. So I have 5 web hours left and 10 Rodecaster to Rodecaster hours left. And so now as we talk about connectivity, let's talk about doing web stuff first, just because I already have that kind of ready to go here. So you can have people go to callme.rode.com and then enter your code, or of course there's a QR code right there, which I can just scan on my phone and it will take me right there. And then this would be the same if I was using a computer browser or if I'm using my phone right here. I can open it, the microphone, Tom, done, and join the call. And now my phone is calling the Rodecaster and you see I'm calling in right here. I will accept that call and there we go. I'm gonna put Tom on the only channel that's off, that's available, I mean, and then we go home and now Look at that. As I talk into my phone, you see the audio bouncing up and down right here. I don't have any fancy mics plugged in, but... And when we're done or we don't want this guy on the phone anymore, we can just disconnect. That was a 5-star experience. But now the part that I think is the most fun is the fact that you can connect a Rodecaster to a Rodecaster from anywhere in the world as long as they're connected to the internet. So here is my Rodecaster Pro 2, which we will have this be the host, and then we will switch over to my Rodecaster Duo, which will be the caller. So this also has CallMe installed. So I'll basically do the same process here. I'm going to pick a channel. I'm going to put this as the CallMe channel. And now I have options here. Reassign it because I already had it somewhere else. And now I will use the Rodecaster, call a Rodecaster option. And now all I'll have to do is type in the code from my Rodecaster Pro 2. And now if I switch over to the Rodecaster Pro 2, you can see that the other Rodecaster is calling. I can do my little check mark here. Same thing, we'll assign it to channel 1. And now we should have that. So I have actually my SM7B right here. There we go, and if I pop on my headphones just to listen to my audio. And so now the audio quality that I'm hearing through my ears right now is exactly the same as if I were plugged directly into my Rodecaster Duo. It is the exact same quality. The only thing I'm noticing in this specific situation is a little bit of latency, but that is because this is not intended, this is not how this is intended to be used. You're not supposed to have them, like there's no reason to do this. If you're trying to have a conversation with someone and their Rodecaster's here and your Rodecaster's here, which doesn't really make any sense anyway. There's going to be latency issues. If you're actually not in the same location, you're going to be just fine. It's going to be like any other remote web call that you've ever done. And so now whether I'm on the Rodecaster Duo, I can disconnect as the caller, or I can go back over here to the Rodecaster Pro 2 and disconnect the call if I want to do that. And then, you know, we'll rate that again. We'll give it 5-star feedback. Yeah. So I think this is a really cool and pretty powerful tool. I honestly cannot fault Rode or the CallMe company service provider for adding on the subscription features. If there's more than the 10 hours, 5 hours that you need, it kind of makes sense. It's a cool functionality that wasn't there before. Now it is. The default amount that you get, I think, is actually usable. Like I said, most podcasts are between 1 and 2 hours long. If you do that weekly, you probably don't need anything else. So this means that if you're currently using another paid service to bring in remote guests at high quality, you might actually be able to change up your workflow a little bit and maybe save a little bit of money. And that's especially true if you're doing audio only, because you can just use CallMe for your audio and then any kind of video call thing, use FaceTime, Zoom, whatever, because you're not actually using the video quality. If you've been doing a video podcast and you're using something like Riverside or Zencastr to also record high quality video from each participant, then it might make sense to kind of still stick with that workflow. But again, depending on your workflow, you might be able to cut out a monthly subscription and just stick to this. And I'm honestly pretty impressed with how simple and easy to use it is, which kind of goes for the Rodecasters in general. I've been branching out and trying a lot of other different mixers and switchers over the recent months, and there are some fantastic ones out there that I really love. Rode, in terms of user interface, user experience, ease of upgrading, is still definitely #1. So if you want to then learn to master your casters faster, and you thought this was interesting, definitely check out a couple of the other Rodecaster specific videos that I've made that I hope are helpful and interesting and maybe even slightly entertaining.